In this topic, we are going to take raw data that is presented to us in the form of a word problem, and we are going to use it to determine our project performance. One of the most important things we have to do is to identify the key information in the problem. Let's take this one sentence at a time. Sentence 1 says, we have a budget of $400,000 for design of a new company website. Can you identify what key information that is telling us? You may pause the video at any time to determine the answer, and then resume the video when you're ready to hear the correct answer. If you said budget at completion or BAC, you are correct. Let's move to the next sentence. We have completed 40% of the work. With this bit of information, what can we determine? If you need a hint, remember that earned value, or EV, is the budget at completion, or BAC, times the percent of work completed. Since we know both the BAC and the percent of work completed, we should be able to calculate the earned value. Take a moment to calculate the EV. You can pause now and resume when you're ready. If you said that the earned value, or EV, is $160,000, great! You can get that answer by multiplying the BAC of $400,000 times the percent completed of 40%. The next sentence says, to date, we have spent $170,000. It looks like we have just been handed a key bit of information. What is it? Pause the video if you'd like more time, and then resume. If you said $170,000 represents the actual cost, you are correct. We didn't even have to calculate anything. Okay, one more sentence. This project is expected to take 10 months, and we just finished the third month. What can we figure out from this sentence? If you need a hint, this sentence tells us that we are 3/10 of the way through our project. We could also say that 30% of the time has passed. Pause now if you'd like to think about the answer, then resume. If you were able to calculate the planned value, or PV, of $120,000, that is very good. You multiply the BAC of $400,000 times the percent of time passed, or 30%, and that will give you the PV. Once you have identified the raw work performance data, including BAC, EV, PV, and AC, you can turn this raw data into work performance information, which is meaningful information about your project performance. Let's start with the schedule. The schedule variance uses a comparison of earned value against planned value. In other words, how much work has been completed by now compared to how much work was planned to be completed by now. Can you determine the schedule variance, or SV, by subtracting the planned value, or PV, from the earned value, or EV? Feel free to pause the video at any time and resume when you're ready. If you determine that the SV is $40,000, you are correct. This means that at this point we have produced $40,000 more in value for our project than was planned. Let's use a different formula to express the schedule performance. Instead of subtracting, can you divide the EV by the PV? That will give us the Schedule Performance Index, or SPI. What do you get? Pause the video if you'd like more time, and then resume. If you got an answer of 1.33, you are correct. Now let's move on to the budget. The cost variance uses a comparison of earned value against actual cost. In other words, how much work has been completed by now compared to how much money we have spent to accomplish the work. Can you determine the cost variance, or CV, by subtracting the actual cost, or AC, from the earned value, or EV? If you'd like more time to think about your answer, just pause the video and resume when you're ready. If you determine that the CV is negative $10,000, you are correct. This means that at this point, we spent $170,000 to create only $160,000 in value. Let's calculate the Cost Performance Index, or CPI, by dividing the EV by the AC. What do you get? Pause the video if you'd like more time, and then resume. If you said 0.94, you are correct. Now it's time to summarize our project performance in terms of both schedule and cost. You may be asked, is the project A, ahead of schedule and under budget, B, ahead of schedule and over budget, C, behind schedule and under budget, or D, behind schedule and over budget? Take a moment to determine which option best reflects the project performance at this point in time. If you'd like more time to think about your answer, just pause the video and resume when you're ready. If you said B, ahead of schedule and over budget, you are correct. A good project manager can take this work performance information one step further and make a recommendation to bring the project's budget back in line. Can you think of an option? The schedule is in great shape. Knowing what you know about the triple constraints, could you leverage this great schedule performance to realign your costs? You can pause now and resume when you're ready. If you suggested that you may explore resource leveling or smoothing to possibly lengthen or even delay some activities, you are correct. This would allow you to slow or postpone some of your spending and possibly get the budget back on track. The third of the triple constraints is scope, but it might be too extreme to start cutting product features and requirements when your budget is only a bit off. In summary, you can take raw work performance data and turn it into useful work performance information. Then you can make sound decisions that put the project back on track.